Good morning, students. In this lecture, after finishing the special investigations done for esophageal disorders and the therapeutic procedures dilatation of strictures as well as thermal recanalization, we are going to study with this discussion plan. Now, in this lecture, we are having two parts. The A part, we are going to discuss the congenital condition affecting the esophagus, that is esophageal atresia and foreign bodies in esophagus. And in the second part, we are going to discuss the perforation of esophagus and associated the Bohr-Havis syndrome and Mallory-Weiss syndrome. Now let's start with the part A, the third lecture. In the last lecture, as we have already discussed, that most of the congenital conditions of esophagus and other congenital conditions also affecting the human body, they usually develop between the 3rd and 8th weeks of gestational period. There are so many congenital conditions, but related to esophagus we are discussing today, and that is esophageal atresia. Now, esophageal atresia, we are just discussing the points which are must to know. The most common variety of this esophageal atresia is a blind proximal pouch is there towards the cranial end with a distal tracheoesophageal fistula with a distal segment. This is the most common type, the variety of esophageal atresia. There are so many others are also there, but this one, just remember this one, this is the most common type. Proximal blind pouch of esophagus and distal segment of the esophagus nearer to this cardia of stomach, that is attached with the trachea, forming tracheoesophageal fistula. Now these type of neonates, they present soon after birth, and the clinical picture, basically there is frothy saliva coming out, and whenever the mother or the attendant wants to feed the child, the cyanotic episodes are there. In the mother, in previous pregnancy, there may be history suggestive of maternal polyhydramnios associated with this esophageal atresia. Usually the diagnosis we confirm by passing a 10 French orogastric tube into the stomach, and if we cannot pass it, the diagnosis is confirmed. Orogastric tube means we are passing the tube through the oral cavity. We are trying through the oral cavity. Whenever we are going to check it with a chest radiograph, the tube is visible within an upper esophageal pouch, that is a blind pouch, blind sac is there. If there is presence of abdominal gas on radiography, it is suggestive of the presence of a tracheoesophageal fistula. That's where the air is coming from the respiratory tract. inside the stomach. In these type of neonates, there are some associated anomalies like, and they are very common, like cardiac anomalies, various the renal anomalies, and other skeletal defects. Just remember these three groups of anomalies: cardiac, renal, and skeletal defects. As far as the treatment is concerned, the standard method of surgical repair is we go through the right side of chest and right-sided extrapleural thoracotomy is done. When to do this right-sided extrapleural thoracotomy? Within 48 hours. Within 48 hours of birth. Earlier we are doing it, we can expect the better outcome. During this procedure, we are going to divide the fistula, the tracheoesophageal fistula tract, and then tracheal side is repaired. After repairing the tracheal side, the proximal blind sac of esophagus and the distal one, both ends are anastomosed. Now in these type of patients in the post-operative period, there may be some complications, and the most common complications we can have: the anastomotic leak, stricture formation at the site of anastomosis, formation of fistula multiple times in the post-operative period, recurrent fistula formation, and gastroesophageal reflux. These are the four important post-operative complications in management of esophageal atresia. Now infants who are having pure esophageal atresia and there is no component of tracheoesophageal fistula, only esophagus is involved, there is no fistula between trachea and esophagus. These type of newborn, we can manage them by doing a temporary gastrostomy for feeding purpose and delayed primary repair after some time. This is the best management for neonates who is having just esophageal atresia and there is no tracheoesophageal fistula component. And in infants with repaired esophageal atresia, we can always expect a good prognosis, except in two conditions. It has been seen that in very low birth weight babies, outcome of this esophageal atresia repair is not good, and the newborn with major congenital heart disease, associated congenital heart disease, cardiac anomalies. In these two groups, the prognosis is not so good. Now we have just discussed the important points, salient features regarding the esophageal atresia. The rest of the things you can go through the textbooks, and in continuation of this esophageal atresia, the congenital condition of esophageal disorder. Now next come the traumatic disorder, and under this heading the topic is foreign bodies in esophagus. There are so many foreign bodies in the esophagus we can get, but we are discussing few important ones. And whatever we are discussing here, in future, few of the points you can get in your upcoming exams also as multiple choice question. Now, in foreign bodies for esophagus, we are having the button batteries. The food. Food is the most common impacted material usually seen, presenting as dysphagia. And food is usually impacted whenever the patient is having distal pathological lesion. Most of the time, there is distal pathological lesion. Distal means towards stomach side, distal to the food impaction. The button batteries, these are very troublesome and very difficult to handle. Now, as far as the foreign bodies in the esophagus is concerned, few of the investigations we can have, like plain radiographs. Two views always should be done and useful for detection of the site of foreign bodies and type of foreign bodies. Most of the modern denture materials, they are not always radio opaque nowadays. We should not go for contrast examination, and this contrast examination is not usually required for detection of foreign bodies in the esophagus. Instead, if somebody has done a contrast examination for this purpose, then endoscopy, it's very difficult to get output from any endoscopic procedure or diagnostic endoscopy. So better to avoid the contrast examination in this group. You can see here the AP view and lateral view. A foreign body in the esophagus. We got this patient at 2.5 years old male child with history suggestive of foreign body intake, a ring type structure. Usually women wear in her toes. This one is the AP view. Here you can see that radio dense object, and here this one is lateral view. Here you can see again the same object, a ring like structure. This foreign body we removed from the stomach. Sometimes you can see here this foreign body was located in the upper part of upper 1/3 of the esophagus. We call the ENT people, and at that time rigid esophagoscope, ENT surgeon he used, unable to pull it out, we asked him to just push it down as far as possible. He pushed this foreign body up to the gastroesophageal junction, and then through the abdominal route, after doing gastroscopy with the help of a scope, we reached inside the stomach, and through the scope we can visualize this foreign body impacted in the lower esophageal junction, and through that route we remove this foreign body through the stomach, coming out through the abdominal route. A specialized case we have managed here. Most of the time, the foreign bodies we have discussed, it is possible to remove them by flexible endoscopy. By using suitable grasping forceps are there, a basket or snare instruments are there, and with the help of these grasping forceps, we can hold the foreign body and just remove it through the oral cavity route. If we are suspecting that foreign body can injure the esophagus, on withdrawal, an over tube we are going to use, and then we are going to withdraw the endoscope along with the object into the over tube and then just remove it. As we discussed, the button batteries, they are problematic. Why they are problematic? Because difficult to grasp these batteries, button batteries, and it is very tempting to push them on into the stomach during the endoscopic procedure. But the main problem is that these type of button batteries, they rapidly corrode in gastrointestinal tract, so better to extract them as early as possible. Don't wait for these button batteries to just pass it on. As early as possible, extract them out. And in this procedure, a multi-wire basket used for stone retrieval from, let's say, common bile duct, it is very useful. Another important, after button batteries, another important foreign body that is usually seen is impacted food bolus. And the management of these impacted food bolus, they usually break up and pass on if we are going to offer the patient fizzy drinks, and we advise the patient just confine to the fluids, liquids for a short time and just pass on. But after that, we must investigate the cause of impaction of that food bolus. Why? Because there may be some distal obstruction and we must rule it out. Still, if the symptoms are not okay, the symptoms are just increasing in severity, or bolus does not pass, then it can be that food can be extracted or broken up during the endoscopy. So we have discussed till now this esophagus, the congenital condition, esophageal atresia, and the important foreign bodies usually seen in the esophagus. In the next part, we will go with our discussion plan. Thank you.